Okay, everyone, today for hour two, I have a very timely interview I did with my friend John Solomon. We talk a lot about what's happening in the news, Russiagate, Obama, Brennan, Clapper. Remember, you can listen to this entire interview, advertiser-free, members.charliekirk.com. That is members.charliekirk.com. Sign up today to watch it completely ad-free and let me know what you think of this conversation at freedom@charliekirk.com. I moved what was supposed to be a podcast to right here for dinner with the great John Solomon. Give it up for John Solomon, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the reason I wanted to do this is that I wanted to make sure everyone had the opportunity to be able to participate in this conversation. John Solomon is an award-winning investigative reporter, the best in Washington, D.C., especially on the Russiagate stuff. And a question that we got multiple times throughout today, John, is, so when are people going to start going to prison?
Yeah, that's the question.
And so, John, fill us in. What have we learned in just the last couple of weeks when it comes to Russiagate? And then we'll kind of go into the path forward.
Great. Yeah, thank you. And it's just an honor to be here with all of you. You're all patriots, and everything that you and Charlie have achieved have turned this country and Gen Z back towards common sense. And so all of you tonight, I applaud your great work. I see it, and I see the impact as I look out over the country and I travel. Without Charlie and without what you've done, this country was headed down a very slippery abyss. And I think we've saved it, at least for a while. So, for a while, yeah.
We bought some time.
We bought some time, that's right. But the war is still ahead of us. There's a lot we've learned in the last couple of weeks. It's worse than even I thought when I set out in March of 2017 with Sarah Carter to unravel what we knew was a fake scandal. The night it all started was, I was coming off a Sean Hannity hit. It was about 11 o'clock at night. Pulled into my house. My wife was already in bed, and there was a blue car with its flashers on, U.S. government license plates, and two guys get out of the car. They meet me in the driveway, and they say, "Are you Mr. Solomon?" I'm thinking, oh, I must be arrested or something. I'm in trouble now. And they said, "We just want to let you know that what you were talking about on Sean Hannity tonight is the tip of a very large iceberg, and you need to drill through it." And I'm like, what in God's name are you guys talking about? It was a story about unmasking and violating people's civil liberties. And they said, "We can't tell you much because most of it's still classified. But what we do know, or what we can say to you, is that the most awesome powers of the United States were turned against their people to carry out a political dirty trick. The CIA, the FBI, and that's all we can tell you." And I'm like, well, thanks. That's pretty broad. I don't know where I'm going to go with that, but we'll start. And I ran in the house, wrote an email at 2 in the morning to Sarah Carter, and that's what set us on this 8-year journey to get us the truth. What is the scandal? If you're in an elevator and you got a minute to tell somebody who doesn't know what it is, what is it? It is the weaponization of our intelligence community and our law enforcement community to carry out a series of political dirty tricks. Now, political dirty tricks have been around as long as politics has been around in America. The 1790s had some doozies, and the 1850s had some doozies. So political tricks in politics are fine, but when you begin to use the powers of the United States government, intelligence community, the military, the FBI, you have crossed a Rubicon that we've never crossed before in American history. We came close in Watergate. Those of you old enough like me to remember Watergate, the moment the Republicans turned on Richard Nixon was when they heard that tape where Richard Nixon contemplated. He didn't do it, but he contemplated using the CIA to stop the FBI from investigating the burglary. The mere contemplation of using the CIA to investigate or thwart a political scandal was enough to oust a president of the United States who had just won the election a couple of years earlier. We are so far past that point now. This is Watergate looks like children's play to what we've learned. At the end of the day, the United States government was manipulated and used by the Democratic Party to repeatedly protect themselves from their own scandals. Hillary Clinton had two. Clinton Foundation, a pay-to-play scandal, and moving her emails onto an unclassified server and jeopardizing national security. Hunter Biden, Joe Biden had a grift scandal, and it began in Ukraine. Obviously, it was in China and many other places. And then Joe Biden had classified documents in his garage in his office. And each time they discovered their liabilities, they kicked in a machinery to project a scandal onto the Republican, which always turns out to be Donald Trump in this case. So the two Hillary scandals gives us Russiagate. My early stories in 2019 on Hunter Biden and Ukraine gives us impeachment and a lot of things that fall out from it. And by the way, that whistleblower's complaint is completely bogus. We are going to get that declassified. You're going to realize how silly a document that was, but we went through an impeachment based on a false story. And then they found, a lot of people don't put this together, but it is two to 3 weeks after they discovered that Joe Biden had classified documents in his home in Delaware, the beach, and the garage, and the home or the office at UPenn in Washington, that the White House, and it's very important to know this, the Biden White House instructed the National Guard to sic the FBI on Donald Trump. So it's a wash, rinse, repeat scandal. A dirty trick, if it was done just with political operatives, would be just another chapter in American politics. But by bringing in the FBI, the Justice Department, the CIA, and at every twist and turn, the government manipulated data, manipulated intelligence, manipulated civil liberties, manipulated the laws to carry out this series of dirty tricks. And the big news, the news that I think will ultimately answer the question, will we get any accountability, is in March, Kash Patel, the new FBI director, sat down with a career team of agents and he wrote what we call the grand conspiracy case. And he looks at this period as one ongoing conspiracy, just like the mob would skim profits off of casinos all across the world, and eventually we took down the mob. Those of you who've watched the movie Casino know about that. Just like we took down the cartels, they operated for 10 or 20 years. We built large conspiracy cases, and that's how we brought down those criminal enterprises. Kash Patel decided to look at what Hillary did, what Obama did, what John Brennan did, what James Comey did, and all up to Jack Smith, as a criminal enterprise, one ongoing conspiracy. What are the crimes? The crimes are to obstruct justice, keep Hunter Biden from being investigated by those IRS whistleblowers that I introduced to America a couple of years ago, keep the FBI repeatedly from investigating Hillary Clinton, and keep Joe Biden from facing liability when he took all those documents. That's the first crime, obstruction. The second crime is the deprivation of civil liberties. They're going to take the 1960s civil rights laws and turn them around on the Democrats and say, you're just as bad as the cops that used to beat black people during the 60s. And we're going to take those laws and we're going to charge you with depriving Donald Trump and everybody else who was injured as a criminal civil rights violation. And that's where we're at.
So that's super helpful. Let's go back in time. What I'm seeking to understand, how much of this was prepared before the election of Donald Trump, and how much of it was then prepared during that transition period between Trump winning in November of 16 and inauguration in January 2017?
Great question. So when I wrote my book in 2020, we turned up an amazing document, and I think it explains everything. So Hillary Clinton is getting ready. Remember this date, November 29, 2015. It'll be the start of the conspiracy. She commissions a poll to figure out of all the scandals that the Clintons have had. They had a lot of scandals, right? They had the White House Lincoln bedroom, they had Vince Foster, they had Whitewater, they had the China fundraising scandal, for those of you old enough to remember that. So, and then they had the email scandal, and she did a poll to find out which one of those is going to be my biggest impediment to the presidency, and it blew them away. It came back, and it wasn't any of those. It was the Clinton Money book by Peter Schweitzer, and the notion that they were cashing in through their foundation, particularly with Russia. And at that moment, she put in motion in December of 2015 an effort to find Russia dirt on any Republican. And nobody thought in December of 2015 Donald Trump was going to be the guy. So they looked at everybody. In fact, they were looking at Carter Page and George Papadopoulos when they were advisors to other candidates. They were just looking to hang a Russian shingle on the Republican campaign house so that she could negate her liabilities. She really wasn't worried about, remarkably, the email scandal, probably because she knew the fix was in with James Comey. So that poll drives the entire strategy. Then out of the blue, Donald Trump wins unexpectedly. And July 5th is another date to remember. July 5th, 2016. I'm going to give you 3 dates to remember. November 29, 2015, that's the first one. That's when the switch is flipped. July 5th is the day that Hillary Clinton has decided to flip the conversation from her emails. And 2 things happen on that day. James Comey comes out and waves a magic wand that's not his to wave, saying, I absolve Hillary Clinton in the email scandal.
We'll be right back with more of my conversation with John Solomon. But first, I want to tell you guys about Relief Factor. Have you ever been in a bad relationship? You know, the kind that just kind of slowly wears you down. You settle in, and even though deep down you know this is not how it's supposed to be, it's exactly what daily aches and pains feel like. You stop expecting to feel good. You start thinking, maybe this is life right now. But it doesn't have to be. With Relief Factor, you can break up with pain for good. Say goodbye to pain. Just like Anthony. He wrote in, I was dealing with debilitating pain and fatigue. I've been taking Relief Factor for about 2 months, and now I'm running my business, fishing, gardening, doing the things that really matter to me. Relief Factor is 100% drug-free. It targets the inflammation that causes pain, so you can move better, faster, feel better, and actually enjoy life again. Try the 3 Quick Start again for just $19.95. Go to relieffactor.com. That is relieffactor.com, or call 800-4RELIEF. Break up with pain and get back to what matters.